Okay, I got one for you here.
Stat of the day, right?
How surprised are you that Jake Waters on Saturday became the first Big 12 quarterback to throw for 200 and rush for 100 in the same game since Robert Griffin III and Colin Klein did so November 12, 2011?
Not very.
Why would that not surprise you?
Well, I think he's a good player, and I think he has the ability to do those things. That's what he does.
You study all the Big 12 teams every year. In your estimation, why had it been 305 games since a Big 12 quarterback had thrown for 200 and rushed for 100 in the same game?
Beats me.
Is there? I mean, have you noticed a trend? I mean, it used to be, back in the days with Michael and.
Well, I think with our quarterbacks, I don't think everybody has been as heavily invested in, the dual use, so to speak, of quarterbacks as, it varies from year to year, and, some do and some don't, but I think more are probably less interested in having that quarterback have that kind of balance in his attack.
One other thing. Is there a video game?
I kind of like it.
A year ago, people talked about Jake being the passer and Daniel being the runner. What do you think Jake showed in his capacity to do both so efficiently in that game?
Well, I don't think we ever felt that he couldn't run the ball. I mean, that's never been on our plate. We always felt that he could. So I mean, I've known all along. I think all of us here have known in our program have known that he has the capacity to do both. So, it wasn't a surprise to us. And it surprises me that it's a surprise to anybody else, really.
Thank you.
Good stat.
Thank you.
Coach, kind of along those same lines, I think Jake has 37 carries so far. I mean, how much concern is there just with the physical toll that can take on him?
Well, you have concern about every youngster that that plays the game, and if you're quarterback, you're going to get hit. I mean, whether you're running the ball or whether you're throwing it. I mean, in either case, scrambles, etc. And Jake's been a durable young guy. But I mean, how much, I don't know. On a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know how much bothers me. But you have a great deal of concern about it. But you have a great deal of concern about, your running back and your offensive lineman, and I mean, there's all kinds of guys that get banged up in the course of the ball game. It's as they say, a physical game at every position, really.
No, I know you talked about after the game being upset about the quarterback scrambles hurting you again. Is it the same kind of breakdowns after looking at it again as what happened against Stephen F. Austin?
Well, yes, similar, but not as prolific, probably. As much as just that. When that one of them got out against us, it was a major play in the ball game. I think that kind of elevated my concern.
Bill, there's a play that both you and Auburn run quite a bit. They call it the pop pass, or the option pass, where the quarterback can run a little bit and then choose to throw it. Just from your perspective, what is it you like so much about that play, and what turned you on to that?
Well, I can't tell you that I always like it. Sometimes we don't do it very well, and I don't like it. So it's like any other scheme that you might have. It's you like it if the end results are good. It's just something we've been invested in for an awful long period of time. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So, but it's just been part of our offense.
Coach, back to Jake for a moment and the ground game. Where have you seen him make the biggest strides as a running quarterback, and are there some certain aspects that Colin has really helped him understand, whether it's, on the field or watching tape, things that he's picked up on?
Well, again, I go back to what was said a moment ago, Matt. I mean, apparently everybody sees that as out of the norm, and I don't see that out of the norm. I mean, that's what our quarterback does, and he's, I don't think there's ever been any doubt in Coach Miller's mind or mine or anybody else that that's just what he does, and he did. I mean, it's not like he didn't run the ball last year. Yeah, I mean, you had Daniel, and Daniel came in and ran the ball as well, but Jake ran the ball, also. So it's just not. It's not out of the norm, for us. At least I didn't view it that way.
I guess where I was coming from is it seemed like last year in the back half of the season is where Jake really took strides, ran the football better as he became more comfortable. But were there things here in the off season that you thought, man, he's just going to be that much better of a running quarterback when he's asked to do so?
Well, no. I thought he would be better at everything that he does, not just running the ball, because he's, as he said so many times, we've discussed this in here, that he feels more comfortable in the offense, has a better understanding of the offense, has a better understanding of when not to do anything and everything, So it's just familiarity to create a more consistent performance level for him. But again, it's as you would expect of any player in your program to get better, with time as you have the opportunity to play more and get more repetition and practice, etc. So, that's what he does. Yes.
Coach, you commented yesterday briefly on the teleconference about the replay situation at Iowa State, but can you comment in general about the format they have for replay and the thought that every play is reviewed when in this day of sped up offenses that's not even close to possible?
Well, it is hard, and I don't know all the dynamics of it. I know they work diligently to try to put the pieces together to stay up with the game. It's kind of like just officiating in general. I mean, they've altered things in order to stay up with the speed of the game, which it is what it is, so to speak. But I think they make that effort up there. How difficult it is, I don't really know. I'm not sitting up there pushing the buttons and making those decisions, so I really couldn't comment on it. But it obviously causes some issues, problems.
What are your thoughts on maybe changing the system to be more like the NFL? They review touchdowns, turnovers, and then it's up to the coaches to make an appeal instead of.
Well, we still have the opportunity to appeal things, but as an official would indicate to you, they will, and they're going to review virtually everything that they possibly can. And more often than not, the decision's already been made, so if you make the appeal, it's just going to cost you a timeout. And so you don't see, because of that, you don't see it very often anyway. As far as going to the NFL routine, I can understand that. I can see why. I mean, you look at games right now, our games are, I think we probably have averaged 3 hours and 20 minutes or so, a little above that, and I think that's probably normal. And you remember there was that major push to reduce the time frame. You remember that, Fitz? And about the same time they wanted to cut down the length of ball games, they initiated the TV policy, which allows you to have 8,000 minutes of TV time, which I think has even with the hurry-up offenses that everybody has right now, those games are still lengthy. They just take a timeout, and a 2.5-minute timeout, and you sit around and twiddle your thumbs for that period of time. clock keeps running. So that didn't answer your question, but nevertheless, it was.
Well, on a different topic. You had some late junior college guys come in. Have they all made it through the clearinghouse? And if so, what's keeping them off the field? I know some of them didn't even travel to Ames.
Yes, they've all made it through the clearinghouse. The only issue is just coming in so late, being able to get a system in place and catch up with things, and they haven't gotten there yet. That's that simple. I think all of them. I don't think there's any of them that have demonstrated that they can't play here. I think that's not the issue. It's just being able to learn the system, quite simply put.
Coach, on the running backs, I'm curious as to 2 games in, what your thoughts are on what Charles Jones and DeMarcus have done, what you're thinking.
Well, I think they've both played well in both ball games. Have not had any issues with either one of them. And I don't think this ball game was any different. Charles got more opportunities than DeMarcus did, but both of them, played about the same as they had before. Both of them are becoming better and better and better in all facets of the game. As I've said so many times, it's evident they can run the ball fine, and they involve themselves in the passing game. They're catching the ball well, and their pass protection has been improved over the course of the 2 games. So pretty much the same.
Coach, you mentioned Saturday that you were pleasantly surprised to at least win a game when making so many mistakes on the field. I know there was a lot to fix there, but how has that perspective developed since that post-game press conference of now having an opportunity to see the game film?
Well, the game didn't change. It's still, I saw what I saw, and it didn't change a great deal. I mean, certain things that I didn't see during the course of the game that you see on videotape. Still, I don't know how pleasantly surprised I was, but I think it does, on the positive side of it, it does, and I think I probably addressed that it does have a meaningful impact on the quality of the character of the young people in our program. I mean, to come back and win the ball game, to stay in the ball game, to overcome some of the issues and situations that occurred during the course of the ball game. I thought, took a great deal of character. It's, people talk about, the real significant thing in life is how we respond to things, and I thought they responded quite well. And I was pleased about that. I was pleased that they didn't give in. As I visited with them yesterday, I just alluded to, take out your 16 goals card and look at that, and there's probably not one on there that didn't have some application to the outcome of that ball game, and that's probably a reasonably true statement as well. So I was, it was a character assessment that I thought was very positive from our young guys.
Going back to the running game a little bit, do you like the patience that both Jake and the running backs are showing as far as letting the block set up and following the leads there? Or
good point. Yes, I do. Simple answer. I think they have been, patient, and I think there's times when patience might get you in trouble. Not very often, but sometimes it does. But they have, they pick and choose quite well, I think, up to this point in time for being, quote unquote, young in our program anyway. Young backs, Charles is young by age and DMAC by experience. So, I think they've been able to pick up the, the capacity to pick and choose, how and when. Quite well. So
it seems especially vital for Charles and the Wildcat. I mean, he really seems patient, a lot like Colin did.
Yeah.
For that opening.
Well, you kind of have to, if it's not there, you kind of have to wait for it to happen and hope it does. That's not an easy choice to make. It's not a matter of just standing back there and letting something happen. It's, you got to have some movement that goes along with it, but you implement that patience and the speed of your approach to the line of scrimmage, simply put, probably.
Is there anything specific you drill into your team the week after they commit maybe more penalties than you would hope out of them?
Well, we go back and try to break down, what the penalties were and why they occurred, and then like anything else, it's like poor technique, missed assignments. Most of it it's easily identified, and maybe sometimes that's not the issue, but more often than not, you're talking about focus and the discipline it takes to stay focused on certain things that you have to do. Illegal procedures, we get 3 in the offensive line, we get 2 with our wide receivers. That's just a matter of discipline and being able to stay focused on the task at hand. And the other penalties probably could fall in that category as well, with 3 defensive penalties that shouldn't exist. And sometimes defensively you get, and offensively you get yourself out of position, and then you don't have the discipline to to react to being out of position, and you reach out on defense and hold, you grab a face mask, or because you're out of position, you get a pass interference call because you were late reacting to something that took place. That was a matter of focus and where your eyes were. And you get on the 2-point conversion, when Glenn gets the holding call, I mean, he made a reaction, and that, again, that to me, that's focus and discipline. He made a reaction that wasn't well thought out, and consequently, it was a very visible penalty. He's out there, it's just he and the other guy, so you have to have the discipline that says, okay, I may have made a mistake, but I can't compound it, by creating a penalty. So that's what we address.
Okay. I also want to know, what do you expect to be the greatest challenge that Auburn will pose to you on offense?
On their offense or ours?
Yeah, Auburn's offense.
Well, I mean, take your pick. I mean, they've got they're a physical offensive line. They've got speed in the backfield, running back positions and quarterback position, and they run the ball well, and they're deceptive in the way they run the ball. And the ball carriers are deceptive. They can make you miss. Wide receivers that are big, fast, physical. I don't think I left out a position, did I? In other words, they're very, very talented players, and they have an offense that is very diversified. There's people talk about them being, just a zone team, and where you hand the ball off or you fake it to him and keep it, and everybody blocks left or blocks right. And they're far more complex than that. I mean, there's a lot of offense there that maybe doesn't get addressed, but they have, and they utilize a lot of different formations, and they can create a variety of different unbalanced formations. They utilize a lot of motion, and they go fast. I mean, they're one of those really upbeat, up-tempo teams. Probably 20-25% of the time they're going, faster than light. I mean, they're just at the line of scrimmage going right now. They have a number of different tempos that they can run, so you have to be careful in your hustle bustle to get lined up that they don't freeze the snap count and get you to jump off sides. So it's a complex preparation against really quality players.
I know you said you prefer not to play a conference game this early, but looking back now with the quality of opponent you have coming up and the extra time, was Iowa State maybe a good gauge for what maybe even to expose some things and what you need to work on? And do you feel better about that now, I guess, than you you might have at the start of the season?
Well, considering the fact we won the ball game, I feel better, but I haven't changed my mind about having, when you play those ball games. And we're looking at at playing some very, playing a tremendous team in Auburn, and we've got a lot of young guys that really got little or no playing time in our second ball game because of the tightness of the ball game. So, that's a disadvantage part of it. There are some advantages that came from it. You mentioned those, but again, by and large, I would like to have the opportunity to get younger players or second level players more opportunities early in the season before you start the conference play.
I think at right guard you had Luke Hayes started this last game, but both of them played. Is that probably your most competitive position on the offensive line?
Probably right now. That'd be an accurate statement.
Coach, you're 9 days out today. Yesterday was 10. When you spoke to the team yesterday, you talk at all about this opportunity at hand against a top 10 Auburn team, kind of a game that a lot of people had talked about during the off season and pushed off and pushed away, and now it's kind of here.
Well, I mean, it'll be here in a heartbeat. There's no doubt about that. So you have to be awfully careful about not putting things off. So, it's our intent to, treat this week as, like it's game week as much as possible. But, as far as, what I share with our players, my interest right now is correcting mistakes and making improvement by each individual in the program, and that's that's exactly what I've addressed with them. I think the rest of it will be parceled out over a period of time, but it is a tremendous opportunity for them, and but at the end of the day, the opportunity is immaterial if we don't correct mistakes and if we don't work to get ourselves a great deal better.
How about you? I'm thinking back to Nebraska in '98 and Nebraska 2000, and USC was here. But this will be the first time, Coach, that you've faced a top 10 non-conference team here in your stadium. What's that feeling like for you?
I haven't thought about it that way. I mean, I see them as a very, very talented football team, and it's the next one on the schedule. And I just haven't looked at anything beyond that. Be a waste of time, probably.
Coach, when you have an offense, maybe Auburn or anyone in the Big 12 in general that, that does something so well, whether it's run or pass, is it easier to maybe prepare for something to take that away, or maybe force them to, do other things like throw the ball if they're a good running team, or is it easier to maybe try and make them and force them to run the ball if they're good at that?
Well, I'm not going to tell you what our plans are, but a team like Auburn is a balanced football team. I mean, they can run it, they can throw it, and the word has been for some time. Nick Marshall can really run the ball, but doesn't throw the ball. You need to watch the same tape I watch. I mean, he can throw the ball. He can get it. He can get it there, and he can get it there in a hurry. I mean, he's just he's a true dual threat guy. So. And they have that kind of balance in their offense. I mean, their statistics are heavily in the run game, but they pull the trigger and throw it. And you look at the number of throws they have. They have a significant number of throws. They just because they run and they go so fast with their offense and they're so prolific with their offense that they're going to get in. You look at their season and they average an extensive number of snaps during the course of a ball game. So, you're going to get, more yardage.
And with a guy like Nick Marshall, is it one of those things where you try to get pressure on him? I mean, not going schematically, but like, I mean, how important is to get pressure on him and to make sure that he doesn't extend the plays like the other quarterbacks have seemingly been able to do?
Well, I mean, as long as it's discipline pressure, I mean, you always want that. I mean, no matter who the quarterback happens to be, you'd like to be able to disrupt the quarterback and his, whether it's his rhythm or his throwing motion or his decision making or staying on time with his routes. I mean, all those things are significant to a quarterback. So if you can disrupt those, then you may have some advantages. But when you've got a guy that can bounce all over the place, you have to make sure that it's a controlled pressure that you place on him if you're capable of doing that. That's not an easy task. I mean, it's easy to say, but it's not always that easy to do.
Were you encouraged by the latter part in the fourth quarter when your defense was able to kind of collapse the pocket? Does that kind of make some confidence and some headway in doing such?
Well, I think there were some, there were some times when, our pass rush was effective, and towards the end of the ball game, the last series, a couple of snaps in there that were very positive in that respect, as far as the pass rush itself was concerned, and that's a positive thing. But we need to do those kind of things consistently. We need to be consistently good at it.
Last question.
Coach, being in the SEC, Auburn's used to playing in front of 80, 90, 100,000. You know how this atmosphere out here is on game day. Do you expect them to be surprised at all by how difficult it is to play here in the atmosphere that it brings on game day?
I don't know that they would. I think they, will do everything they can to prepare for and anticipate, that the crowd noise will be significant. And I would expect them to be a silent count football team on offense, and they probably will.